hello again. Thought I'd make another little video because I haven't got enough videos sat half made on my hard drive on my laptop, so why not add another one into the mix? Because Phil's been buying more stuff, which this week is this, the folded space insert and organizer for board games, FS Glowjaw board game organizer, compatible with Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Because I did buy a few weeks more ago. Alright, yeah, there you go. That bad boy, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, fully cooperative fantasy campaign adventure, which is good. My youngest finally finished his GCSEs, so we've been busting that open a little bit just to kind of crack on with that. So yeah, so first of all, it's not a review of this because I've only kind of got 3 scenarios in. I've not done the learn to play guide yet. I think it's the first 5 scenarios. But there's already lots to know about it. The way it kind of brings you into the game is brilliant. There's like a whole sheet about how to unpack and put the game together in a way that's going to make it easier to play, which we'll come back onto in a minute when we talk a bit more about this. But the way the kind of the instructions work, kind of build things up for you gently, seem really good so far. Like I say, 3 scenarios in, so it's hardly even scratching the surface of this this behemoth of a box. But yeah, so that sheet we're talking about, the kind of how to unpack the box sheet, was really helpful. But I'm not going to show you it because I don't want to unpack this bad boy, because that's one of the issues, is that getting it all back in was somewhat of an issue. There was so much cardboard I punched and sorted out that when I finished I was like, how did this all fit in this? How did it all fit in here? Because I can't get it back in. Can't get it in there at all. I did in the end. There's loads of baggies and stuff to put in. So I had to kind of maneuver them and put them in a way that kind of stacks on each other, you know, and fits in this bit down here. But it did. But I don't know, it was not ideal to kind of get in and out and play the game. So which is why I picked up this, which is like an insert for the game, so you can see all the bits are all kind of put together nice. You can just pop out each tray and put it around like a delicate little thing. Because I quite like doing this. I think there's like a little kind of half subculture about kind of doing this sort of thing with boxes, like customizing inserts and that sort of thing. Like the one I mainly did it with was Machi Koro, which I'm not sure if it's accessible right now. Let's have a look. No, you're buried on the shelf. I'm not looking in there. But the box for that is well known to be a bit of a prick, in that it's like probably about, you know, kind of like that size. And then when you open it, there's like a pack of cards and some coins at the bottom. It's nowhere near the size it needs to be. I think the original Japanese one was much smaller, but the one we got in the West was ridiculous. So I ended up buying all the expansions, which was about that size. And inside that, I built a custom insert out of some foam core I picked up from Hobbycraft. And that was like, again, little things you put out, and there's much nice use of space. So I quite like doing that. I did it with Escape, the box that was ridiculous. So I kind of chopped that box down to a smaller size. Didn't finish that, so that's kind of held together with masking tape, which, thinking about it, isn't really ideal, but we'll move on. But this is like, you know, a pre-built one, so we'll have a quick open to show you. There are like wooden versions of this. I think that's the kind of most famous one. I remember in the early days of the lockdown last year, Shop and Sit Down did like a, was it called Gloomhaven, putting one together, like a big wooden thing, but they're like £40, which is probably about as much as I spent on the game. I didn't really fancy doing that plus shipping, so there you go. So you see the little, so the sheets of foam core all kind of I don't know if that's going to get picked up with the light, all kind of pre-punched. We got that? Yeah, we do. So it's all just kind of, you know, you kind of pop it out and then put it together as per this big list of instructions. Let's get a bit more focus on there. There we go. So it's loads of little boxes, 2 pages, a thing for all the trays. So yeah, this looks quite good. I'm quite pleased with this, and the quality seems alright. We seem to kind of put it together. You can kind of put it together with rules and blocks, the lintel of the box, utilised during the game. Yeah, ordinary PVO glue. So I'm gonna put that together with some Mod Podge, because I quite like that channel where the guy builds dioramas. So I remember the name of. I'll put it up on the bottom in a minute when I remember the name. And he uses Mod Podge, and I like saying it. So we've got some Mod Podge in the kitchen. So yeah, I'm not done. it looks like a bit of a thing to put together because look at those instructions, but you know, your boy Phil likes a gunpla. I've put together, you know, model kits with worse Japanese instructions than that looks like, so I think we should be fine. So yeah, so the next part will either be either a time lapse, doubtful, of me actually putting it together, maybe some photos I took when I'm kind of building it together on my phone, and then like an actual look of it inside this box. Because again, I'm not unpacking this because getting it all in the first place was a pain in the ass, so I'm not taking that again. So yeah, hopefully we'll either cut to it being built or it having been built, and we'll talk about what it's like in the actual box itself. Okay, right, so checking the audio stamp of that file when we did the video bit before. Let's have a quick look. That was from June 2021. I've now built it January 24th 2022, so 6 months ish. That's not bad. It's not great, but you know, we got there. That's just the kind of procrastination that we expect around these parts. Not sure why it took so long. I think it's just because I just never had the time, or never gave myself the time to build it. So it just kind of sat next to my shelf. So I sorted out some bits and pieces and had a random day off and thought, you know what, let's get this built, let's get it done. And we did. So, pat on the back. Don't know if you heard that, but that was pat myself on the back. So, yeah, you can see me building it here. I've been putting the video underneath, hopefully, in the edit. And it's, as you can see, like kind of foam core board. And I'm putting it together with Mod Podge. Just got like the name of it, but I guess any kind of PVA glue would do. I guess you could use like a hot glue gun. But my only concern with using that is like that splodges out lots more out of the sides than this does. So you could end up with kind of little wiggly bits inside that are going to cause problems later on when you put the components in. As far as the actual build goes, yeah, it was nice and easy. The instructions are really clear. They're really good. There are also videos on the website and photos we'll come back to in a minute. I didn't need the videos to do the actual build itself. I just kind of, you know, ploughed on because hell, I built gunpla kits. I know how it goes. Some of those pipes on the Zaku's, my god. Nothing here was as bad as that. The only kind of fiddly bit came towards the end. I mean, there's some fiddly bits where you're kind of building up boxes and you've got the two ends on. Thankfully, the laser cutting means that like all the parts fit really snugly, so they kind of hold themselves up. So you haven't got that kind of horrible thing where you're trying to balance one corner as another corner kind of falls over. So because the quality of it's quite good, that helps with the build. Like I say, the only kind of problem bit was at the end, this last box where it's like lots of little holes, and like just when I got to put the last few bits in, like it was kind of pushing itself out from being square a little bit, but there was no real issues with it. It was just making sure you didn't kind of push things out too hard, so it kind of pushed things out that it shouldn't, sort of thing. So, but hey, I built it and it was all fine, so that was all good. So yeah, the actual build of it, because it popped out of the boards really cleanly. Got no issues with that side of it at all. It's a really nicely made piece of I hate saying kit. It's a really nice insert to go into this box. Yeah, so let's get to the reason why we got the box in the first place, which is to put Gloomhaven inside it. So this is Gloomhaven War of the Lion, and as you can see along there, the bottom there, like the lid doesn't sit closed flush. It kind of is a little bit raised, and this is just with the standard, you know, how you put the components in. I think when I remember unpacking it, I had that kind of horrible thought, how am I going to get all this back in? Because there's way too much stuff. And you do have to kind of mess around a little bit. I mean, you can see that I'm using the kind of proper ring binders to both sides technique to kind of get it down there. And then all the monsters are in the bag. So this is like as per the box when you go through it. It talks you through kind of unpacking them and putting all the monsters together. But then when you try to put those back into the box, there's no way to stack them or balance them in there nicely. They just kind of flop around, and you have to just kind of not even Jenga it. You just have to just kind of mess around with them until they kind of push down enough to be able to close the lid properly, which is, yeah, not ideal. Obviously, it's good for getting components out because you can just grab a little baggie and that's your dudes and all their cards out there straight away. The next bit was actually getting the components into the boxes. Now, there is like a little, I was kind of going through using the guide. It kind of tells you tray 1, tray 2, tray 3, what they're used for, but I was like, what this? Oh, I'm an idiot. So luckily on the website, there's a nice lot of photos where you can kind of go through Each component, you can go through each tray, see what fits in there. So this isn't under like a help section. This is on the actual store website against the actual item in the shop. So it's not like a separate tutorial bit. It's against the actual item. You can kind of tap on the photos and go through it and scroll through it that way. So, but that was again really helpful, being able to see photos of what was actually in there to kind of put the kit together. I'm not building Gunpla, Phil. To put the components together into the box was really, really helpful. Now, the only major issue I faced was around the initiative tokens. So these are for all the monsters. They've all got ones, so you can kind of order them in the game from the attack and that sort of stuff. And you can see in the photo they're quite small. They all fit in that one part of the tray. And then you can see on mine they're much bigger, so they don't fit in. So they were spilling out everywhere. So I was like, oh, here we go. This is where we start hitting some problems. But I do remember reading through the instructions that made a note there about the some components being too big, and to check the website for any kind of tips on that. So I did, and they had some on there. So they really kind of seen the problem, headed off with the path. So you can see here they've moved the initiative tokens over to this other tray, and then I think moved the damage and things and the treasure tokens around a little bit so they all fit in. Now, they do kind of say on their bit, they leave the players' initiative tokens in that empty one I've got there, but all mine are inside the various boxes with the guys, I think. So that to me makes more sense having them in there with the characters as you pull them out of their little cardboard envelope thingies. So I've done that. So yeah, you could, if you want to keep them out, you can put them in there. There's plenty of space. I've got them all kind of stacked up, as you can see there. The only problem there is like you have to kind of flick through each one to find the enemy character type that you want, which is a bit of a negative over the bags, because you know the bags were just like everything's in one place, and obviously the cards have all been put into one of the component trays as well. So it's like you might lose a little bit of setup time there, but putting things away is much quicker. And I always feel that's better. I always like the setup is like preparing like a nice meal, where it's like that's all part of the experience, whereas the tear down part is like you just want to just sweep the table into a bag and just throw it into a cupboard. You had a several hour long session, you don't want to be messing around with components and trying to figure it all up. So, and that was the problem with the old one, trying to put them all back into the bags and then balance all those bags inside the box to get it closed, pain in the bum. Whereas with this, I think being able to just put them back into the trays, back all the trays in, and then, yeah, you're done. Because obviously these trays you're using as part of the game, so they can kind of sit next to the board and be used for different things. So it's not like the taking them out of the trays is that onerous a thing, because it's all part of what you're doing, if that makes sense. So putting things back in there shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, I think it should all be fine. And then we get to obviously the grand finale is putting it all back into the box, and you can see it all fits in nicely. Sometimes with those trays with the monies and things, you have to kind of make sure they're flat, because otherwise if one's sticking up, it doesn't sit down flat, and obviously you need it as flat as possible to fit everything back in. And yeah, you just kind of put everything back in as you would do normally. So flip the binders round, and then all your initiative dial things kind of go there, and everything goes on top. And yep, you can close the lid, and the lid is in exactly the same position as it was earlier. Well, great.